With 14 roller coasters in operation, Six Flags Great Adventure is home to a decent variety of thrill machines. As you will find out in this video, I would say that their collection ranges from epic, great, okay, and straight out bad. Before we jump into my ranking, please do me a favor and click on that like button, and if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe, especially if you love roller coasters like me. Number 14, Lil Devil Coaster, built by Zamperla, opened in 2021. The park's kiddie coaster, not much here to say. The ride was originally known as Roadrunner Railway, and was ranked in 13th place during my last coaster ranking, so yeah, the kiddie coaster will always come in last place. Moving on. Number 13, Dark Knight Coaster, built by Mock Rides, opened in 2008. At one point, the Six Flags chain attempted to tie in their new attractions with upcoming movies. Dark Knight Coaster, of course, was timed to the release of The Dark Knight. Unfortunately, this roller coaster doesn't even come close to matching the caliber of that movie. Dark Knight Coaster is an indoor wild mouse coaster that is quote-unquote themed to The Dark Knight. The pre-show, assuming that it's even still being shown because I refused to ride this roller coaster during my last 2 visits to the park, is the best moment of theming during this attraction. Once you enter the main event building, you realize that it's just one giant warehouse with some silly theming scattered about. You can even spot the exit door from the ride as it lets in light every time the door is opened. If you watched some of my previous videos, you would know that I do not like this roller coaster mostly because of how bad the theming is. If the park would put up their A game a little bit and put in some decent theming, Dark Knight Coaster would be a nice, neat little family coaster, but as it currently stands, it's just a cheap carnival attraction. Number 12, Green Lantern, built by Bolliger and Mabillard. Opened in 2011. Originally located at Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom, this giant stand-up looping roller coaster is situated in the front of the park, right next to the parking lot. In fact, a chunk of the parking lot was overtaken by the roller coaster's footprint. Well, what can I say about Green Lantern? It's a stand-up coaster, which is basically the ride's claim to fame. Without rehashing everything that I've said in the past, just know that if you have the seat situated in properly, your ride experience is going to become very memorable, and that's a bad thing. On the good side, Green Lantern has a solid layout. I love the giant loop, incline loop. In fact, all the inversions are fun and forceful. Though I doubt this will ever happen, I kind of wonder if this would be a better roller coaster if it was a traditional sit-down ride rather than a stand-up. Maybe we'll see it one day, who knows. Number 11, Harley Quinn Crazy Train, built by Zero, opened in 1999. With a train that holds 40 riders, Harley Quinn has a nice capacity for a family coaster. My daughter really loves this roller coaster and we rode it multiple times during our visit. Just like Catwoman's Whip at Six Flags New England, this roller coaster has a very different ride experience depending on if you're riding in the front or in the back. Those up front will crawl down the first drop, but once the train gets moving, you get a good boost of speed, almost like a launch. Those in the back will start getting dragged over the lift before even reaching the top. Number 10, Runaway Mine Train, built by Aerodynamics, opened in 1974. This is the oldest operating roller coaster in the park. Runaway Mine Train is a classic mine-sharing coaster by legendary Aerodynamics. The roller coaster never really gets intense, but focuses on those near misses and the adventure aspect of the ride. Flying through the trees, out and over the water at the end of the ride is what makes this roller coaster something worth checking out. Number 9, Joker, built by S&S Sansai Technologies, opened in 2016. This is the only operating roller coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure I've yet to ride. During my last visit, my primary goal was to ride El Toro, Nitro, Jersey Devil Coaster, and of course King Ka, so I didn't calculate any time for this cloned attraction. I have ridden Batman the Ride at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and besides the slight change in theming, they're basically the same ride. Depending on weight displacement, you can experience a more tame or completely wild experience, which is a good reason to re-ride this coaster as each ride will be different from the last. Overall, it's still just another cloned coaster, and as I mentioned in past videos, this ride isn't for enthusiasts, it's pretty much a GP type style coaster. Number 8. Skull Mountain, built by Intamin Amusement Rides, opened in 1996. Yet another family roller coaster, Skull Mountain is an indoor roller coaster that I think is executed better than the Dark Knight coaster. Outside of the Disney or Universal park, it's rare for a park to have an indoor roller coaster, or even more rare to have two. The rides are also relatively close to each other, which is what I always thought was kind of odd, building the Dark Knight coaster so close, but whatever. Skull Mountain isn't one of my favorite roller coasters at Six Flags, but it's an enjoyable ride. There's actually a couple moments of airtime, which is fun, especially during that first drop if you ride in the back row. I wasn't able to convince my daughter to ride this because she doesn't really like these indoor, dark, slightly scary, even though it's not really scary type of theming, but anyways, maybe I'll get her to ride it this coming year. For the next 3, we come to the B&M loopers at the park minus Green Lantern. Personally, they are all very close in ranking, and I would guess that my ranking would change on the day, but since I gotta lay something down in stone, here we go. Number 7, Medusa, built by B&M, opened in 1999. This roller coaster has gone through a few changes. It was originally called Medusa, then it switched over to Bizarro, and now it's back to Medusa, which I think is for the better. This is the first floorless roller coaster by B&M. The idea of removing the floor out from underneath the rider was revolutionary for its time, but now it's practically a staple on any of their sit-down coasters, including the dive coasters by B&M. Medusa is tucked in the back of the park. The top of the lift gives you a nice view of the safari. Medusa features 7 intense inversions. The layout is also somewhat basic for B&M. Hit up the big inversions first, mid-course brake run, then finish off with a couple corkscrews, usually interlocked. The layout is very similar to Kumba, which came before it a few years earlier. Regardless though, it's still a fun ride, intense roller coaster that I enjoy to ride during every visit. Number 6, Batman the Ride, built by B&M, opened in 1993. Batman the Ride is what really put B&M on the map. It's a great invert model that is forceful, fast, and relentless. The ride flies through transitions one after another, only taking a quick break with that turnaround before the corkscrews. The theming is actually pretty decent for Six Flags. The station is themed to the Batcave, which I think is done well. Overall, this is a fun roller coaster worth checking out. Number 5, Superman Ultimate Flight, built by B&M, opened in 2003. Superman Ultimate Flight is a flying roller coaster that is located up near the front of the park, right on the edge of the parking lot. The ride may be on the shorter side, just shy of 2,800 feet of track, but the layout is still pretty solid. The pretzel loop is one of the most intense inversions out there, and it gets your heart pumping every time. This roller coaster is all about flying, and I think its layout serves that purpose well. After the first inversion, the rest of the ride is more relaxed, allowing you to soak in everything, stick your hands out in front of you, and pretend that you're Superman on your way to save the day. Alright, now to our top 4. These are considered by most the best of the best at Great Adventure. As to which way they are ranked will change year in and year out, but overall I'll say that these 3-4 roller coasters will remain at the top of the list, until the park opens a new roller coaster anyways. Number 4, Jersey Devil Coaster, built by Rocky Mountain Construction, opened in 2021. It was originally scheduled to open in 2020, but the pandemic pushed it back a year. My first rides in 2021 were a little lackluster, but I still enjoyed it. I was expecting something a little bit more snapping and intense like the other single rail coasters, but instead Jersey Devil Coaster is a little bit more subdued. Well, in 2022, Jersey Devil Coaster was operating considerably faster, but developed a nasty rattle. The ride felt very janky, though I wouldn't say my experience was unpleasant. It made the attraction feel very cheap, almost like a carnival ride. I hate saying this, especially about a roller coaster from Rocky Mountain Construction, but yeah, there is something definitely off with this attraction. But anyways, yeah, the layout, pacing, ride intensity, and airtime are all very good. My daughter Braylon considers this to be one of her favorite roller coasters, but yeah, for the reasons I said already, I feel that this coaster is starting to slip in quality. Number 3, Kingda Ka, built by Intamin Amusement Rides, opened in 2005. I remember when this roller coaster was announced. I was a little annoyed. It was great that we were seeing yet another roller coaster to break the height and speed record, but I felt like it was simply stealing the thunder from Top Thrill Dragster and wasn't setting out to do anything new. Though the ride does feature an airtime hill, which serves as the brake run, but overall it's just a slightly taller and faster version of Top Thrill. Unfortunately, this coaster isn't smoother than Top Thrill, as the launch can get a little rough, especially if you're riding in the back. And let's not forget about that over-the-shoulder restraints, which is a huge disadvantage when compared to Top Thrill. I know I'm underselling this roller coaster because King Ka is still an insane ride with speeds of 128 miles per hour, a height of 456 feet. King Ka is one of the most intense roller coasters on our planet. Also, I keep comparing it to Top Thrill Dragster, but that roller coaster is SB&O, stationary but not operating, and it is basically practically gone from its original form. King Ka now stands as the supreme leader of the Strata coasters. My last ride on this roller coaster was better than my 2021 experience, so I feel confident keeping it its same ranking at number 3, even with the addition of Jersey Devil Coaster. Number 2, El Toro, built by Intamin Amusement Rides, opened in 2006. Shocking, I know. How dare I move El Toro into second place? Let me explain. This prefabricated wooden roller coaster turned out to be a world-class attraction. I remember riding this in 2007 and it just completely blew my mind. It was my number 1 roller coaster for the longest time until Steel Vengeance in 2018. The airtime on this thing is legendary. The first drop is my favorite drop on any roller coaster. Riding in the back row, being yanked over the drop gets me every time. So with all this praise, why second place? Well, the problems started to appear in 2021 as this roller coaster continued to get rougher and rougher. Then there was the first derailment, and then the rumored second one, but I believe that one was debunked, but it doesn't matter, I digress. The overall integrity of the structure is starting to be compromised. And instead of the park giving El Toro the grand overhaul that it needs, they're basically providing minimal effort to get it back up and running. The airtime is still there, but with its nasty potholes, problematic operations, and overall roughness, it's no longer the roller coaster I would rather ride the most at Great Adventure. I'll acknowledge that El Toro is probably the best roller coaster in the park, but with all its problems, and it's just a roller coaster I don't want to ride as much as I like to. And because of that, I just can't rightfully give it the number 1 slot. So until the park gives this roller coaster the love that it deserves, the number 1 is going to be going to Nitro, built by B&M, opened in 2001. With El Toro on the fritz, there's only one roller coaster at Six Flags that doesn't let me down, and that's Nitro. This is one fun roller coaster. These past few years, I've been developing a true appreciation for this hyper coaster. The airtime might not be insane, but the ride still delivers. Ride in the back row for the best airtime. The helix, like many original B&Ms, is a really intense moment. I almost gray out during this element every time. Overall, Nitro is a great coaster that boasts one of the best capacities, if not the best capacity of any coaster in the park. The ride operators were killing it by dispatching trains about every 40 seconds on my last visit. So yeah, you can get that crazy ejector over on El Toro, but it comes along with a headache and other bodily aches. Nitro will still deliver great airtime and not send you running for the nearest bottle of ibuprofen. Well, that was my ranking of all the roller coasters at Six Flags Great Adventure. Let me know in the comments if I got it right or wrong. I know some of my rankings are going to trigger some enthusiasts, but that's okay. We all have our own preferences, and I love to hear about what you love and dislike. Until next time, this is X Screen Thrills.